Hi, this is Fire Marshal John Reck with the Urbandale Fire Department. I'd just like to take a few minutes to provide some information regarding our upcoming Citizen Fire Academy. This will be the fourth year that we're having the Citizen Fire Academy. It's a great way for residents of the community to get a good chance, a more well-rounded look at what the fire department is and what we're all about. People drive by our stations quite frequently, may see the fire trucks, maybe see some firefighters walking around. But other than if they have to call 911, that's a lot of times the extent of what they know what the fire department is, other than what they may see on movies and TV or stuff on news about fires that have occurred in Urbandale. The Citizen Fire Academy is a great way for the citizens to get an in-depth look at the quality services that our fire department provides. We cover everything from basic fire safety initiatives for the home, because that's really the best way to prevent us from coming to your house in the first place, is to try to prevent a fire from happening, but also to be prepared to know what to do if a fire does occur. But also, once the fire trucks arrive, when people ask, well, what's the big ladder truck doing there? Or why are those firefighters just standing in the front yard? Why aren't they doing anything? It gives people a good chance to understand our techniques and how we operate and why we do what we do, because most people do not understand that. The Academy itself is an 8-week program. It meets Thursday nights at Fire Station 42 on 121st Street. As part of the program, participants will have their own fire gear to wear during the academy that we'll be using for various drills. While it's not a true fire academy, we are going to put you to work and you are going to sweat most nights. Our goal is not to try to create any heartache or problems, but it's to give you an idea or at least a little taste of what our job is about and the conditions that we work under. We'll cover a lot of stuff from emergency medical services, extrication. You get a chance to rappel off our 4-story training tower. We could easily spend the whole 8 weeks on just one of these topics, but our goal is just to give you a little taste of everything, so you're, as a citizen of the community, much better informed about who we are and what we do. So when you see us operating at a fire or a motor vehicle crash, you have probably a lot more knowledge than the other people standing with you as to what's going on and what we're doing. The culmination of the 8-week program is that once the participants have finished the program, they actually get a chance to ride along with our crews on the ambulances and fire trucks to get first-hand look at what we do and how we do it. If you're interested in participating in the Citizen Fire Academy, you can certainly call the fire department. We'd be happy to send you an application. The easier way would probably be to go to the City of Urbandale website at www.urbandale.org, and you'll see a link to it. If you visit our Facebook page for the Urbandale Fire Department, there'll also be a direct link from there. That's probably the easiest way. The applications are due by Friday, January 23rd. The first night, the orientation night of the Academy, takes place on Thursday, March 19th. We need that time period between January 23rd and March to get everything going. So as soon as you get your applications, then the better.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Have Mary Polson and Dwayne Danielson, who are Citizen Fire Academy alumni, as we get ready to kick off the 2015 Academy. Appreciate you coming in to discuss your experiences with it. Can you just kind of give us a brief overview of, prior to signing up, what were your kind of expectations, or what did you think the fire department did other than going on calls? Did you really have much inclination, especially after you got into the program, as far as what you did? Now, Mary, you kind of have a unique perspective.
I'd have to say I probably had a little bit more information about the fire department than others, simply because I was on the city council for a few years. But I gained a better understanding of a lot of the functions of the fire department and the crew. For example, I would have thought that at least half of them were just firefighters. I didn't understand the paramedic component of it.
And then Dwayne, from your perspective?
Well, when I was growing up in a small town, my father was on the volunteer fire department. So I had a little exposure to the volunteer side of it, and I was kind of intrigued on how a professional, full-time, paid positions volunteer the fire department works. So it was very interesting to spend time here.
So as you started the program, what was the first thing that kind of surprised you about the services we provide or the training? What was the first thing that kind of really captured your attention?
Let Dwayne start with that one.
I think it was just the number of calls that you have in a year for a city this size. The number of medical calls, how disproportionate the medical services are compared to the fire services. That there's much higher demand on the medical side.
And I think in addition to that is what all is involved on the medical side. You know, I think back to when I was a child, and the old ambulance and the guys in the white suits that, you know, just to put the cot in the back and speed off to the hospital. And now there's a process involved. There's a lot of caregiving involved in the medical part of it. You know, the other thing, I came away with a very increased respect for the fire department and for the care that they provide to this community and how much they love this community and how passionate they are.
So as we went through the 8-week program, and we'll start with Dwayne on this one too. What we you know try to cover a wide variety of things. We could spend the whole 8 weeks just on fire operations, let alone all the other stuff. What is it that you, out of the 8 weeks, that you enjoyed the most, or seemed to garner the most attention for you?
What I think I enjoyed the most is the mixture of some classroom lecture, if you will, although it was very informal, but you learn various components of what happens here, and then actually to go outside and put your bunker gear on, go outside and actually spray some water and enter the, you know, with a smoke-filled room and try to find your way around. And so you learn about it, and then you actually went and did it.
I'd have to agree with Dwayne. The participation was just more than I expected. You know, the fact that we, as I called it, suited up every week and wore that gear around, wore the oxygen tanks, wore the mask, and then going into the training center and experiencing the smoke and experiencing fire, it was amazing.
Yeah. And that's one of our main parts of it too, is a lot of people just don't understand that component. I think another good example is if you think back to your rappelling night, and I'll pick on Mary, and I'll pick on Mary for a second. You know, each of our classes so far, we've had one person that's like, it's a natural body response of looking over and going, yeah, no, my body says no, we're not supposed to do that, so I'm not going to do that. But you know, between Lieutenant Burkett and the other crew up there,
yes,
and like all the stuff, including this big truck you see behind, it's all about trusting the equipment, knowing the equipment, and being comfortable.
yes.
And the smile on your face once you got about halfway down.
Yeah, it was right.
I wanted to go do it
Yeah.
again.
And that's usually
I can't say I was quite there. No, but it was, yeah, I'm glad I did it, and just having the eyes on Lieutenant Dan, the complete trust, yeah, it was good.
the live fire night, which is kind of the culmination of everything. If you think back to your own experiences or expectations of stuff you've seen on movies and TV, you know, granted with our training facility we can't, you know, throw tires and everything else in there, but from your perspective as just an ordinary citizen, from what you see on movies and TV compared to actually having the gear on and the live fire night, being able to advance the hose, and albeit a small fire, was it what you were expecting or thought it was? Was it different? How would you kind of characterize your experience with that?
I think it was probably more or less what I expected. And I know it was a controlled burn, so they kept the temperatures down. I think they only let it get up to about 500 degrees. But even that, I mean, just that you could feel it coming through your bunker gear and stuff. So just what the firefighters may go through on a large, uncontrolled fire to begin with must really be impressive, which is probably what you see in the movies and on the TV.
You know, I think the night that stuck with me more than that live fire was the night we went into the smoke-filled room. And you literally could not see your hand in front of your face. And you think about, you know, when your crew is out dealing with that, it was an eye-opener. It's scary.
So now, based on maybe your preconceived notions before you started the class, now being an alumni, how has your view of the fire department changed? Maybe not even so much changed, but is different now actually after going through this program?
Yeah, I don't know if it's changed. It's maybe put me at ease, because sometimes as a citizen of the community, you kind of wonder are your tax dollars being spent wisely. After going through this 8-week program, I have no doubts the fire department is spending our tax dollars wisely.
Oh, amen to that. You know, I think I said at the end of the class that it should be a prerequisite for anybody running for city council that they participate in this class. because you do, it does increase your comfort level.
Well, I appreciate your time this morning. Share your experience with the Academy. We're excited certainly about the 2015 Academy and hope we can finally get a full Academy for the first time. So appreciate your efforts, and that's the whole point, is just to try to give people better awareness, because they drive by the fire station, see the fire truck and ambulance, and think they know people are there, but they don't really necessarily know what they're capable of, or necessarily what all else is going on behind the scenes.
Thank you.
Thank you.